Today, I want to share with you 11 tips that we used how to save money on just our lifestyle and shifting our perspective on things. We used these tips when we paid off $48,000 towards our debt, got debt free in less than 2 years. So let's get started. I will share with you how we did that. This is part of an ongoing series, so after you watch this video, feel free to check out the entire playlist and watch our previous videos on this subject. Number one, it was all about patience. We had to shift from, I want to get that, to really being strategic, buying things at the end of a season. I would shop the clearance after a holiday or a season and not buy I used to go and shop and just buy all this stuff, right? No, not doing that. But if we knew we needed, our lawn chairs had got chewed up by mice or something. And so we knew ultimately we need to get a couple lawn chairs. We could keep our eye out for either when they were on sale or at the end of the season when they were on clearance, so we'd have them for the next year. Or we keep our eye out at garage sales. We had a list on our phones of things like that we knew to keep our eye out for so we could save money on them. We didn't just go and just splurge and just buy whatever the first thing is we saw of it. So being strategic and being patient will pay off. The next item is we prioritize low cost and cheap free activities. We started doing things like bike rides. I remember packing up a cute little picnic and a blanket and going to my daughter's fast pitch game, and my little baby son sitting on a blanket, little toddler, and we spread out a whole little picnic and made it this really exciting event. And it was dirt cheap. It was not super exotic foods, but it felt like a really fun adventure. And we would just try to do things like that. We would do free things. We could go to the parks. We could have a movie night in our backyard. We had bought a projector while we were still in debt, but we would utilize that. We'd go and we'd have movie night in the backyard and make things feel really fun. The kids, while they knew we were paying off debt, we tried to still incorporate things, and for ourselves, that made life feel exciting and didn't have to be such a downer experience. Instead, we could embrace this empowering time we were in and still have fun. Travel. So we still did a little bit of travel, but it looked drastically different. In 2013, we went on a little road trip through parts of, not a little, 2-week road trip through the US. And that's when we really got serious about paying off the debt, when we were on that road trip. So we actually skipped the next road trip and we just did more local things, where we went up to the North Shore on Lake Superior and did camping. For the most part, though, it was staying with people, really cheap things, and we had to forego that for a few years while we just kept putting all the money instead towards the debt. This was a time also our daughter was in traveling fast pitch, and so already there was some costs that incorporated in that experience, and so we would try to make that feel fun. We'd explore the town sometimes where she was playing, do free things like that or cheap things, or use and save up our budget for that item or for some activity in that town. If we knew the whole team was going to be going out to dinner together, we would try to then save that monthly budget or even the month before as well, and just slowly put that into that experience, and even try to still order things that were a little less expensive. No one ever probably knew. We would just always maybe have some snacks with us. We'd show up and we'd just share something or share a couple things, and just be really always mindful, make the best choice we could in every situation. I typically, for a decade plus now, 90% of my clothes are black. Maybe it's the artist in me, maybe it's the budget part of me. I'm not sure where the line was crossed into this world, but I wore the same black dress to weddings, funerals, events for years. And in fact, now I have a different black dress that I've been doing the same. I've recently wore it to a funeral. Before that, it was a wedding. Before that, I just change how it, the boots or summer shoes, a necklace or not. I could wear some kind of shawl thing over it if I needed to kind of change up the look. Picking something that has this flexible, timeless look to it. So you're not having to buy a new dress for every event. And don't be afraid to wear the same thing. Once in a while, I'll look at pictures and be like, oh, I have the same outfit on. But for the most part, because the jewelry is different and it's all things I had, nobody would ever think twice. Nobody cares. They're all worrying about their own thing. It'd be different if I showed up with like this bright yellow dress at every event, then it might stand out more. But something about the black dress and the different shoes and the different accessories, nobody knows. Nobody cares. I also had just a handful of black yoga pants, a couple black leggings, a black pair of jeans, a few black tank tops, several of these black V-neck t-shirts, a black shawl or two, a black sweater, black sweatshirt. All of them mix and match. All of them can be worn and very simply accessorized up or down. When I was at home and I was working on my computer and taking care of my kiddo, I could have black yoga pants on and a black shirt or tank top, and I could just throw on. I'd have a few of these. And these shawl things I would get in a couple different colors. And so I had a couple of those through the years that I would have, and it would completely change the look of it on a super tight budget. So I wasn't splurging a lot on clothes, but yet I still felt always put together and polished. For gifting, the next item, we had to be really intentional about saving money with gifting. Now, we're both creative people, my husband and I. So I one year did, as every kid of my nieces and nephews' birthday came around, I did a portrait of them. Just a little 5x7 portrait with colored pencils, and that was really fun. While we were paying off debt, however, one year we cut all this greenery from our evergreen trees, and we wired up wreaths and garland. I was blanking on the word. Garland, and gifted those to people. I would make handmade ornaments, and so I would get ornaments, and then I would hand paint them with people's names. We just tried to get really creative on the gifts that we gave. So they were low cost, but full of meaning and heart and a sense that we really did care. And it was not determined by the cost of the item, but how much love we had put into them. Sometimes we would bake baked goods or things like that. So just get creative. Sometimes it requires thinking ahead, or I have one sister who's excellent about buying things when they're on clearance, and she just always has a stockpile. She has 5 kids. She's always on top of it, of when things go on sale. Really nice things, but she just keeps it ongoing. And so that's what works for her. At the time, we canceled our gym memberships, and we instead focused on bike riding, lifting weights around the house, home videos. I was a Taibo queen. I did so much Taibo and loved it. So just know that where there's a will, there's a way. Whether it's soup cans or gallon water jugs, you can figure out what you need to do when you need to do it if you have a strong enough will. So don't be afraid if you have to cancel that gym membership and save $20, $40, $50, $100 a month that you'll never go back. If you're deliberate about it still, you can find free workout videos on YouTube. Just know that there are other alternatives and just stop that money towards your debt and know that when you have money again, you can rejoin. Modeling values. Whether you're paying off debt or you're just simply trying to make some extra money, this is something you can do. And we've done this the last several years, and I wish we would have done it. The technology maybe wasn't advanced at the time, or I wasn't aware of it when we were paying off debt, but I would have loved to have done this. Is my son and I would go to garage sales. We'd set aside about $100 for the whole summer, and we go to garage sales, and he would find like technology items and things that people were selling, and he'd just keep his eye out. He never like talked people down. It was what they were willing to part with the item for. He might have found something for $5, and then he knew how to search on my phone on eBay to see what that was selling for. And there's a difference, not what it was listed for, but what it was actually selling for. You can filter through to see what things are selling for. And he would say, Mom, this is selling for $50. Or one time he paid $50 for this little robot thing and it sold for $350. He knew. And so he would keep his eye out and he'd research and he would find these things. He'd clean it up. I would photograph it for him and list it for him. And I would pay for the item for him. And then we'd split the money. And so for him, he was able to save several $100s as an early teen this way before he was legally able to have a job. And it taught him two things. One, that he could make money no matter what. There's always a way to go out there and find things, and you are making money on being able to bring value and source that item. You're classifying it or making it findable, cleaning it up, possibly connecting missing pieces, whatever you have to do to then sell it. And I don't believe people should feel bad about that. That's not the same thing as hoarding a bunch of stuff or like this whole scammy resale. I mean, there's a whole other way you could go with it. In our minds, these are things that were going to end up at the thrift shop or they were going to end up in the trash, and we saved them and use his knowledge to be able to resell them. The second thing that did was it really taught him how much stuff people just get rid of. We buy and we buy and we buy, and then we just get rid of stuff. And he saw really early the patterns of the same sorts of things, the same types of decor, the fads. You can just tell all of the things that were in style 5-10 years ago because it's all in the garage sales now. And which things could stand the test of time that were unique when he would see them. And so it's really given him a really good eye and an appreciation for not just going out and blowing money at these retail stores, instead to find things that are actually of value and different. And so I love that lesson for him. But there's always a way like this, whether it's books or electronics, or people sell, like there's somebody who came to our garage sale years ago and was finding 80s and 90s themed t-shirts and clothes, and they had a whole online vintage shop for it. Bravo to them for being creative. And we didn't have the energy to deal with, finding those people for it, and they did. And so I love that for them. So being intentional, modeling just different ways that you can keep things from landfills and also make money on that. Next up is stewardship. We were really meticulous about taking good care of our things, whether it's our cars or if we ever borrowed something from someone. My husband really taught me this. He was so good about, he would make sure, even if it felt like we didn't have the money, if we borrowed a car, one time we borrowed my sister's car, I think it was for a road trip because we didn't trust our car. And making sure to have it clean, spotless, the tank full, everything when you give it back. If you borrow a tool, you give it back in good or better condition than when they borrowed it to you. Just really honoring things. And then that also went for the things we already owned, as far as bringing things out of the winter weather in the winter, covering things with a tarp if they needed to be, keeping things cleaned, just taking good care and pride in the things that you own so that they last longer. You get more of your money's worth for those items. Next up is use things until you cannot use them anymore. Now I'm breaking this a little bit right now because we're selling everything and moving abroad. But in general, we don't just go and buy a new thing because we're sick of the color, or there's a newer, trendier version of that item out now, so we're going to just go swap. We don't do that. And we have saved so much money by getting things that are a little bit more timeless, and by just stopping the cycle of junk and garbage and endless need of like falling victim to marketing. Like, I'm a marketing major. I see right through it now. They are smart in how they do it to constantly make you feel like whatever you have is not good enough. And these little features and these little upgrades make you want to get the newest. Don't buy into it. Hold on to what you have longer. It's better for the environment. It keeps stuff out of landfills. And it just gives you a sense of peace when you're not constantly feeling like you're in this gerbil wheel of keeping up with everything. Pick a few things if they're your things that you want to stay up on, and then let the rest in your life just be content with them. I promise you it will be life-changing for you, and you will save so much money. Going along with that, the next item is balance your luxury items. If there's a couple areas of life that are really important to you, then fine, keep those as they are, or figure a way to dial them back slightly. But there's enough areas in all of our lives that we don't care about. And you can save so much money in those areas if you don't care and you're just not thinking of it. And so sometimes those are the ones that are easier for us to spend money because it doesn't feel as like we didn't put as much thought into it, or it's more of an instant splurge. Those are the areas where we can be really intentional about saving our money and not spending it. So stick to the things. If cooking is really important to you and really like high quality items are important to you, get the good food and but make it from scratch. Maybe you can find a way to buy some things in bulk and save some money there. And then maybe because you enjoy that, you can save in some other areas of your life and not splurge in those because you don't care. My last thing is just get creative on how some of your activities already are. Is there ways that you can rotate in different things? For instance, I have a friend where we would meet up for coffee once a week for a while. We were working on some projects together and we met out once at a shop and it was like $15 each by the time you get like the little breakfast sandwich and a coffee or a chai or whatever we got, right? And really quickly I said, I can see the writing on the wall for this. This is going to be hundreds and hundreds of dollars that I don't want to spend this way. And so what we did is I said, let's shift what we're doing and let's meet at the local library. They have a section outside the library that's like in a hallway where there's booths and tables. I said, just bring your own coffee. So I make mine at home. Sometimes she would be coming from work, so she just picked something up at the gas station. We both saved tons of money. And we just got to sit and visit and have the exact same experience otherwise. It was just a little behavior shift and not being embarrassed to say that, to simply say, I'm very upfront, by the way, about like, no, I'm frugal or no, I don't want to spend my money that way. And so one time, fine. But if it's an ongoing thing, especially pay attention to that. Figure out if there's ways that you can save. If you are hanging out with people that have these expensive patterns and habits, find ways to meet up with them other ways, or find ways that you can maybe still be involved but have water, or like I said before, simply have an appetizer instead of a full meal. Just start to get creative on things like that. Think through ahead of time, and then it naturally will start thinking in a different way to where it doesn't mean you have to isolate yourself and just not be around your friends and the people you care about, or don't do the things you like. But there's probably a way you could save money while doing those things that you want to be doing. So that's my list today for you of all of the lifestyle type tips that I had, that just a shifts in perspectives, how we paid off our $48,000 in less than 2 years. So I'm going to be back again with another video. Let me look what that one's about. Ooh, it's our final video about how we brought in extra money to help us put towards this debt, because we all know there's two ways that debt gets paid off. One, it's cutting spending, and this affects everybody. Whether you have $10 in your bank account or you're making $1 million a year, all of us can overspend. So you have to learn, you can always outspend your earnings if you're not careful. So learning how to not spend more than you're making is number one, most important. But then there becomes a limit. There's only so much you can cut back. And so the next thing that you need is to really figure out how to bring in some extra money. And that's where we got kind of creative with it. And I want to share those things with you. And most of them are things you can do as well. And yeah, so I'll be back again in the next video. I hope you're subscribed so you can see that and you'll get notified. And also go back and check out the other videos from this playlist. Talking all about all of these different areas of life and how we saved. Each one by itself may not feel like a big deal, but you start adding them up. Pick a few that will work for you and start to implement them right away. And the ones that feel like they don't align with you, let them go. There's no worries there at all. The whole thing is presenting ideas so that maybe you can even hear it and you have a little different twist on how it can work for you. So if any of those things feel like they are things that are going to help you, leave a comment. Share with us where you're at on this journey. and let us cheer you on. I love hearing about how other people are getting creative, what's working for them, and how they're paying off their debt. Or if you paid off debt years ago, how did you do it? What worked for you? So, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that you are here and supporting my channel, where we take big dreams and put realistic plans with them and make them happen. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.